There is a car on sale right now that costs less than a Toyota RAV4, and it just beat the Nürburgring lap record for production SUVs. Not a concept, not a prototype. A car you can order today. And it is not even the most impressive compact SUV China has released this year. That is the problem. Because once you see what is coming out of China's mainstream family SUV segment in 2026, the conversation about whether these brands can compete with Japan, Korea, and Germany is over. That conversation has already been decided. What we are counting down today are 5 compact and mid-size SUVs from 5 Chinese brands, from a name you have probably never heard of, all the way to a car that secured 200,000 firm orders in 3 minutes flat. Stay until the end. Number 1 is the car that did not just undercut Tesla, it embarrassed them. Before we get into it, every spec in this video comes from official launch data, independent automotive publications, and Euro NCAP testing. These are not promises. These are results. Number 5, the Leapmotor C10. You have probably never heard of Leapmotor. That is entirely understandable. It was founded in Hangzhou in 2015 by a team of engineers and software developers who had never built a car before. Within 8 years, it had sold hundreds of thousands of vehicles in China and become the country's 3rd largest electric and plug-in hybrid vehicle manufacturer. Then, something unusual happened. Stellantis, the company that owns Peugeot, Citroën, Fiat, Jeep, and Maserati, acquired a roughly 20% stake in Leapmotor and simultaneously formed a joint venture called Leapmotor International, which is 51% owned by Stellantis. That structure gave a 10-year-old Chinese startup immediate access to the largest dealership network in Europe. No new showrooms needed, no expensive market entry. Leapmotor pulled into Stellantis' existing infrastructure like a car pulling into a charging station. The C10 is now on sale in the UK, Germany, France, Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Here is where it gets uncomfortable for the established players. The all-new C10, which launched in China on June 16, 2026, starts at 125,800 yuan, roughly $17,000 at current rates. For that, buyers in China receive a 5-seat mid-size SUV with an 800-volt high-voltage architecture, a LiDAR sensor suite, a 60-inch augmented reality head-up display, dual zero-gravity front seats, and 660 kilometers of CLTC range. Leapmotor claims it is the most affordable 800-volt LiDAR-equipped electric vehicle on the planet. Nobody has credibly disputed that. In Europe, the same car costs around £36,000, still undercutting the Tesla Model Y by thousands of pounds, while arriving loaded with heated and ventilated seats, a panoramic sunroof, a 14-speaker audio system, and Leapmotor's cell-to-chassis battery design that eliminates battery modules entirely, squeezing more range into a smaller, lighter, more rigid package. A Volkswagen Tiguan in Europe starts at a similar price and gives you a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. The Leapmotor gives you an 800-volt electric platform with augmented reality glass. Now, here's the thing. In its current European form, the C10 has some rough edges. Reviewers have noted the ride can feel soft and unsettled on poor surfaces. Rapid charging peaks at 84 kilowatts, which trails the class leaders, and the infotainment lacks Apple CarPlay natively. These are real limitations, but Leapmotor receives over-the-air updates. The infrastructure exists. And the price gap between this car and its European rivals is not $1,000. It is frequently $10,000 or more. That gap is the story. And if you thought a startup brand backing into Europe through a Stellantis dealership was an unusual entry strategy, the next car on this list had an even stranger path to the global stage. Number 4. The BYD Sealion 6 DMI. BYD stands for Build Your Dreams. That tagline used to invite easy mockery in Western automotive media. Nobody is laughing now. BYD sold approximately 4.27 million vehicles globally in 2024, making it the largest new energy vehicle manufacturer on Earth by total volume of electrified vehicles. The Sealion 6 is not BYD's flagship. It is a mid-size family SUV aimed at exactly the buyers who are currently looking at a Toyota RAV4 hybrid or a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. And in Australia, where it launched in mid-2024 and became the country's top-selling plug-in hybrid almost immediately, it triggered a 100% increase in PHEV sales in a single year. One model, 100% category growth. The Sealion 6 DMI runs on BYD's plug-in hybrid system, pairing a 1.5-liter engine with a blade battery and a drive motor producing up to 238 kilowatts in the all-wheel drive premium grade. The blade battery is BYD's structural battery design that passed a nail penetration test without fire, smoke, or thermal runaway, a test that destroyed most competing lithium packs at the time. Extended range variants of the Sealion 6 now offer over 120 kilometers of pure electric daily driving. For most families, that means most working weeks pass without using a single drop of fuel. The Australian Essential version starts below $43,000. The Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, which offers similar dimensions and a similar hybrid system, starts considerably higher in the same market. The Sealion 6 is not a budget car competing with budget cars. It is a mainstream car competing with mainstream cars and winning on specification and price simultaneously. But the Sealion 6 is already in showrooms. What BYD launched in May 2026 is what comes next. The 2026 Sealion 06 DMI, a compact and sharper sibling, which opens at 129,900 yuan, adds BYD's fifth-generation dual-mode hybrid technology, a combined range of 1,845 kilometers on a full tank and full charge, a 15.6-inch floating rotating touchscreen, the DISA-C intelligent damping system with road preview that reads the surface ahead and adjusts the suspension before you hit the bump, and an anti-motion sickness mode that actively smooths acceleration and braking for rear passengers. A Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid costs more and has none of these features. And yet we are only at number 4. Number 3. The XPeng G6. XPeng is not a household name outside China, but it probably should be, because what this company is doing to the concept of automotive intelligence sits in a different category from anything Toyota or Volkswagen is currently shipping. The 2026 XPeng G6 launched in China on January 8th at 176,800 yuan, around $24,000. The top optional ADAS configuration delivers up to 2,250 trillion operations per second using 3 of XPeng's proprietary Turing AI chips. That compute stack supports XPeng's second-generation VLA intelligent driving system, capable of navigating city streets, highways, and car parks without requiring preloaded high-definition maps in areas the car has already learned. The G6 observes, remembers, and adapts. It is not navigating from a fixed script. It is driving the way a human driver builds experience over time. Volkswagen, one of the largest automakers in history, has licensed XPeng's technology architecture for integration into its own vehicles in the Chinese market, with Volkswagen becoming the first major Western automaker to license core AI driving software from a Chinese company at scale. The student is teaching the master. The G6 also achieved a 5-star Euro NCAP rating under the updated 2024 protocols, the most demanding crash and driver assistance safety assessment in the world. The AWD performance variant runs on an 800-volt architecture and charges at a peak of 451 kilowatts, taking the battery from 10% to 80% in approximately 12 minutes. That is faster than most electric vehicles at any price. The AWD performance hits 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.13 seconds. An Audi Q5 e-tron costs twice as much and does not come close to those numbers. But if the Xpeng G6 is impressive as a piece of technology, what comes at number 2 is impressive as a piece of business strategy. Number 2, the BYD Sealion 06 DMI. But first, the number that explains why this entire countdown matters. In 2025, Chinese brands held approximately 65% of China's domestic passenger car market for the full year, with monthly figures regularly exceeding 68%, not 65% of the electric segment, 65% of all passenger cars. More than 6 out of every 10 new cars sold in the world's largest automotive market went to a Chinese brand. This is not a trend. It is not an emerging story. It is the current reality of the industry. And the 5 cars in this countdown are the evidence of what that domestic competition has produced. When scores of Chinese brands are fighting each other for survival in a single market, the cars that win are not the ones with the most aggressive marketing. They are the ones that genuinely outperform. These 5 cars exist because of that crucible. The 2026 Sealion 06 DMI opens at 129,900 yuan, which is approximately $19,100 at current rates. For that, buyers receive BYD's 5th-generation dual-mode hybrid technology, which is not a minor update. It is a ground-up rethink of how a petrol engine and an electric motor share workload, and the results are numbers that were unimaginable in a mainstream family car 3 years ago. Pure electric range on the top variants reaches 310 kilometers on the CLTC cycle. Combined range on a full tank and full charge reaches 1,845 kilometers. That means a family driving a typical weekly pattern could go most of a month without visiting a fuel station. The DCC intelligent damping system reads the road surface ahead using sensors and adjusts the suspension damping before the wheel even reaches the bump. It is not reacting to the road. It is anticipating it. An anti-motion sickness mode smooths acceleration and braking curves specifically for rear passengers, a feature that previously existed only in vehicles costing 3 or 4 times the price. Optional LiDAR-assisted driving through BYD's God's Eye system brings semi-autonomous city and highway navigation to a car that starts below $20,000. To put that price in context, a Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid in China starts at a higher price and offers none of those features. A Volkswagen Tiguan in Europe starts higher still and does not have a plug at all. The Sealion 06 does not position itself as a value car. It positions itself as the most technologically advanced car in its segment regardless of price, and then prices it below everything it outperforms. Which brings us to the car that made the automotive press in the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and across Europe stop and reread what they had written because the specification sheet looked like it had to contain a typo. Number 1. The Xiaomi YU7. Xiaomi makes smartphones. That is the sentence that most Western automotive journalists led with when the YU7 was announced. Xiaomi makes smartphones, and now they are building a car. The subtext was clear. This should not be taken seriously. Xiaomi's CEO Lei Jun had a different number in mind. On the evening of June 26, 2025, within 2 minutes of the YU7 launch presentation ending at 10 o'clock Beijing time, Xiaomi's EV division announced that the car had received 196,000 pre-order deposits. 3 minutes after the presentation ended, the total had reached 200,000. 1 hour later, 289,000. Not expressions of interest. Not newsletter signups, financial commitments from 250,000 people for a car they had watched on a live stream. The YU7 is a 5-seat mid-size SUV built on Xiaomi's Modena platform. It measures 4,999 millimeters long with a 3,000 millimeter wheelbase, larger than the Tesla Model Y in exterior dimensions. The base standard version started at 253,500 yuan at launch, roughly $35,000. undercutting the Model Y's Chinese starting price. The battery on the standard variant is a 96.3 kilowatt-hour lithium iron phosphate unit. CLTC range is 835 kilometers. The Tesla Model Y long range in China achieves 719 kilometers. The Xiaomi SUV is not matching Tesla. It is beating it by more than 100 kilometers at a lower price point. The Pro and Max variants step up to dual motors, 800-volt architecture, and 5.2C ultra-fast charging. The Max variant, priced at 329,900 yuan, delivers 681 horsepower, a 0 to 100 time of 3.23 seconds, and the ability to add 620 kilometers of range in 15 minutes at a compatible charger. The entire car comes with a 1.1 meter wide hypervision panoramic display, combining 3 mini LED panels into a seamless dashboard interface. There is a 4.6-liter refrigerator built into the center console, 25 speakers, a 141-liter frunk, Nappa leather, and zero-gravity front seats as standard on higher trims. But the sentence that ended the debate about whether Xiaomi belongs in this conversation came in 2026. Xiaomi announced that the YU7 GT, the performance flagship of the lineup priced at 389,900 yuan, had completed a lap of the Nürburgring Nordschleife in 7 minutes and 34.931 seconds. Then, at the car's official launch on May 21, 2026, they announced a second run, 7 minutes and 22.755 seconds. The YU7 GT is now the fastest production SUV ever to complete that circuit. Not the fastest Chinese SUV, the fastest production SUV, period. From a company that made smartphones until 3 years ago. The GT variant runs a 1,003 horsepower dual motor system, accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.92 seconds, hits a top speed of 300 kilometers per hour, and covers 705 kilometers on the CLTC cycle. It uses carbon ceramic brake discs developed with input from Chinese and European engineers using the Nürburgring as its primary development track. Xiaomi said publicly that they plan to go there and set a record. Then they set 2 records within weeks. The Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT, which the YU7 GT just beat around the most demanding road course on Earth, starts at approximately $198,000. The Xiaomi starts at $57,000. Here's what makes that number feel surreal in context. The G6, the Sealion 06 DMI, the Leapmotor C10 all cost well under $60,000. The car that just broke the Nürburgring production SUV record costs $57,000. The car that beat the Tesla Model Y on range and price starts at around $35,000. The car that became Australia's best-selling plug-in hybrid starts below $43,000. And the car with the 800-volt architecture, the LiDAR, and the augmented reality display designed for a global family starts at around $17,000 in its home market. A Toyota RAV4 in the United States starts around $32,000. It has a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine and no plug-in hybrid option in the standard lineup. A Hyundai Tucson opens at around $30,000. No 800-volt architecture, no LiDAR, no autonomous driving system of any kind. This is no longer a story about Chinese cars being good value. That is far too small a frame for what is happening. What is happening is that Chinese brands, competing ferociously with each other inside the largest car market on Earth, have produced compact and mid-size SUVs that match or exceed the technology, the performance, and the specification of vehicles costing double or triple the price from brands that have been building cars for a century. The Nürburgring does not grade on a curve. The Euro NCAP protocols do not have a special category for newcomers. Which of these 5 would you actually put in your driveway? The Nürburgring record holder, the plug-in hybrid that redefined an entire market, or the car with the 800-volt platform and the augmented reality display that costs less than a base Toyota RAV4? Tell me in the comments. And if this video gave you a number that genuinely surprised you, The 2-minute order counter, the Nürburgring time, the price of the C10 in China, share it. Because this is the kind of story that gets more interesting the more people are paying attention.